Okay.
But the problem,
Yeah, Josie.
I didn't make some exercise because I was sick by myself.
Okay.
Even yesterday, I was in hospital. I didn't work.
Have you received last session
But
payment?
yes, I received. I
Okay.
received this session. Thank you.
Okay. Let's continue our topic now. So we are here in BGP implementation, border gateway protocol, and we complete our, actually we are working with IBGP neighbor relationship, IBGP first. Now we can discuss, split horizon rule, full mesh, neighbor circle, lector. Okay, now let's create a design. So I'm talking about next implementation, Juvency, okay? For next implementation,
Okay.
again I'm working IBGP, okay?
Yeah.
We will work in IBGP today and tomorrow we'll discuss IBGP, all IBGP kind of implementation. So now we have a design, we have 4 routers. Okay, I'm creating loopback on each router into this design, okay? We are trying
Okay.
to form neighbor relationship, IBGP neighbor relationship with loopback interface, okay?
Okay.
So for this, I'm creating loopback on each router. For example, on R1, I'm creating 1.1.1.1 slash 32 slash 32 loopback. On R2, 2.2.2.2 slash 32. R3, 3.3.3.3 slash 32. And R4, 4.4.4.1 slash 32. Now, let's start our basic configuration, and this is again IBGP implementation. Here I'm using AS number 100. AS number 100. So this is IBGP implementation. Let's configure IPLS R2, R4, R3. Okay, let's start our basic configuration first. So we can start with R1 fast Ethernet 0/0 10.1.12.1 mask, no shutdown. 0/1 10.1.14.1 mask. no shutdown, and we can create one loopback interface, loopback 0, interface loopback 0, 1.1.1/32, show IP interface brief. Let's go to R2 fast Ethernet 0/0, 10.1.1.2. No shutdown. We can configure 0/1, 23.1 mask, no shutdown, no shutdown, interface loopback 0, 2.2.2 mask, show IP interface brief. Let's go to R3 into this design. Fast Ethernet 0/0, 10.1 dot
34.
10.1.0/0 is a 34.2, 34.2, no shutdown, and 0/1, I'm using 10.1.23.
23.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, let's create a loopback interface. So 3.3.3 mask. Now show IP interface brief. Let's go to our last router, R4 router interface fast Ethernet 0/1, 0/0, 10.1.34.1 mask, no shutdown.
This one should be 30. Dot 2 because dot 1 you put on R3.
Yes, I'm using dot two here. So I'm here on R4. This is R4 router. Here I'm using dot one, dot one, dot
Ah,
two I'm using here. Okay. You can check on R3. Okay.
yeah.
Now 10.1.14.2 mask, no shutdown. Now show IP interface. Show IP interface. Done. Let's create a loopback interface. Interface loopback 0. 4.4.4.4 mask.
Mm.
Now, now I'm trying to use BGP protocol. Okay. BGP protocol. If you remember command syntax, router BGP, local autonomous system number, and neighbor command. So this time you can see into this
Yeah.
design, I don't I don't want to use neighbor IP address. I want to form neighbor relationship with loopback interface into this design.
Okay.
On each router, I have a loopback interface, right?
Yeah.
On each router, I have a loopback interface. So 2.2.2.2, remote AS, it's 100. Neighbor 3.3.3, remote AS is 100. Neighbor 4.4.4, remote AS is what? 100.
Okay.
Okay, let's copy this configuration, show run pipe section BGP. Let's copy this configuration. We can paste in Notepad. This can help you. I'm trying to paste this configuration on R2. You can check in design. On R2, I'm using neighbor 1.1.1. But now we can copy. We can paste on R2. Let's go to R3. For R3, 2.2.2, we can copy this configuration. We can paste on R3. Any problem? I hope this
No,
configuration is
no.
good for you. Let's go to R4.
Yeah.
For R4, 3.3.3, copy, and we can paste this configuration on R4. Let's go to global configuration mode now. So I'm using neighbor command on each router. Let's verify our neighbor information. Let's verify our neighbor information. So we can start with R1 router. We can start. What is
Mm.
command to verify our neighbor table? Show BGP summary command. Remember?
Okay.
Remember this command? Show IP BGP summary.
Yes.
So I have neighbor information 2.2.2, 3.3.3, and 4.4.4. But here in state and prefix, okay, I don't have any number here. Remember, I told you if you have
Mm.
any number 0, 1, 2, 3, 80, 50, any number, it means you have a neighbor relationship. But right now, we are getting a new state prefix here. What we are getting active state, active, active, active.
Mm.
So I don't have neighbor relationship. If you go and check on any other router, for example, if you go and check on R2, show IP BGP summary, status what? Active. State is
Okay.
active. So what is the issue? What is the problem? Okay. So now, if you go on R1, I'm trying to form neighbor relationship with 2.2.2, right? Juvency?
Mm.
But this 2.2.2 is not directly connected with R1, right? This 2.2.2 is not
R1.
directly connected with R1, right? It's a
Yes.
loopback interface. It's not directly connected. So if you verify your connectivity, if you verify your connectivity with 2.2.2, you don't have reachability.
Not pass.
You don't have.
Not ritual. Yeah.
If you check your reachability with 3.3.3, for example, 3.3.3, you don't have reachability.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have reachability. So for here into this design, for reachability, I can use any IGP protocol. For reachability, what I'm doing, I'm using any IGP protocol I can use for to create a reachability in between loopback interfaces. Okay, let's use any
Mm.
dynamic routing protocol. For example, I'm using EIGR router, EIGRP10, and network I'm using in a single line 0.0.0.0, 0.0. Any problem with this line?
This is the default
Yes,
route.
any network, any network. No auto summary.
Any.
Let's go to
Mm-hmm.
R2, router, EIGRP10, network, any network, any mask, no auto summary. Let's go to R3, router, EIGRP10, network, any mask, no auto summary. Let's go to R4, router, EIGRP10, network, any mask. So now this time, if I'm trying to verify my connectivity, so I
Mm.
have reachability with 2.2.2, right? You can see.
Okay.
I have a reachability
Yes.
with 3.3.3. I have a reachability.
Okay.
I have a reachability with 4.4.4. So I have a reachability this time. If I check, if I check
Mm.
BGP table information again, but again our state and prefix is what?
Active, active, active.
Okay, so into this design, we are trying to form IBGP neighbor relationship with loopback interface. Okay, we execute our command. Okay, and there was no reachability. So for reachability, now I'm using IGP protocol like EIGRP I'm using to create a reachability. I have a reachability, but I'm not getting neighbor table information. See, neighbor table is what? State and yes, in state and prefix, neighbor is what? Active, active, active. Let's talk about troubleshooting. Let's talk about troubleshooting for active. Active, this is the point. BGP active state troubleshooting. UNC.
Yes.
BGP. If you in any scenario, if you get BGP active state, we can troubleshoot it. How to troubleshoot? What is the problem? What is the issue in this design? What is the problem? We are getting this message active state. So the problem is the router had sent open packet. R1 is sending what? BGP open packet to each router, to each loopback interface, and is waiting for response.
Response. Yeah.
Waiting for response. The state may cycle between active and idle. So when you configure BGP, BGP router will send a BGP open packet to each neighbor
Hmm.
IP address and is waiting for response.
Response. Okay.
Response, yes. And the state may cycle in between active or idle. The neighbor, it means what? The neighbor may not know how to get back to the neighbor because of the following reason. If R1 is not getting a response because then the router has because the following reason. It means there is a following reason we have. R1 is not getting a response page. What is the problem? The problem is the first one is what? Neighbor is peering with wrong address. In our setup, in our configuration, we have a neighbor relationship with actual IP, right? See, we have a, if you check our configuration here, if you check our configuration BGP, right? If you check show run BGP pipe, so we have a neighbor relationship with loopback interface, right? It's a correct, UNC, right?
Yes.
Have a neighbor relationship with loopback interface. It's correct address. It's not wrong. Okay, we have a loopback on each router. We have a loopback, right? 2.2.2, 3.3.3, 4.4.4 loopback we have on each router, right? So the first
Yes.
reason is what? Neighbor is peering with wrong address. No. Yes, we have this IP address. We have IP address on loopback interface. It's not a wrong IP. Now, next reason is neighbor does not have neighbor statement for this router. Yes, we have a neighbor statement. See, we have neighbor statement here. Neighbor command, neighbor statement for each neighbor. AS number is misconfiguration. No, we are using 100 on each router. If you remember, we are using correct AS number on each router. It's not misconfiguration. What is the next issue? So the next issue is what? Neighbor does not have. This is our problem. Neighbor does not have a route to the source IP address of the BGP open packet generated by this router. So neighbor does not have a route, but this time you have a route. You can see you can ping to 2.2.2, right? You have a route. You can ping to 3.3.3. You can ping to 4.4.4. You have a route. You can ping from source IP to destination IP.
Okay.
You have a reachability, but you are not getting neighbor information. Then what is the issue? The issue is what? By default, this is our issue. See, update source. Any extra
Hmm.
command is missing. Yes, extra command is missing. What command is missing? Let me tell you. By default, this BGP open packet will generated by this exit interface IP by default. All routers will
Hmm.
will send BGP open packet with this interface IP. But in our configuration, we have a neighbor statement with loopback interface, not physical interface IP, right, QNC?
Yeah.
So that's why we can go to each router. We can go to each router and we can tell in BGP. We can go in BGP protocol and we can tell what neighbor 2.2.2. This BGP open packet I'm sending with loopback interface. How? We can use a command update source. We can use a command
Okay.
update source. So we are sending BGP open packet with loopback 0. On R1, I'm sending BGP open packet with loopback 0 interface. Okay, I'm saying to 3.3.3 update source loopback 0. Neighbor 4.4.4 update source loopback 0. I am sending BGP open packet with loopback interface, not with physical interface. Let's go to the R2. On R2, let's go to the R2, and we can use a command here. We can go in BGP router BGP neighbor 1.1.1 update source loopback 0. Neighbor 3.3.3 update source loopback 0. Neighbor 4.4.4.4 update source loopback 0. Let's go to R3. So on each router, I'm trying to update. I'm sending BGP packet. I'm sending BGP packet with loopback interface. Router BGP 100 neighbor 1.1.1 update source loopback 0 neighbor 2.2.2.2 update source loopback 0 neighbor 4.4.4 update source loopback 0. Let's go to R4 router. We can go in BGP protocol neighbor 1.1.1 update source loopback 0 neighbor 2.2.2.2
Mm,
update source
okay.
loopback 0 neighbor 3.3.3 update source loopback 0. Now you can verify. You can verify on R1 router. You can see you are getting a message neighbor update message. See,
Okay.
if I'm trying to verify show IP BGP summary, this time I have what? State and prefix no?
Ah,
Yes. So
zero zero zero.
what command was missing? Update source. Update source. Whenever my
Okay.
point is what? My point is what? Whenever you are trying to establish your IBGP neighbor relationship with loopback interface, you need to update your loopback information in BGP. Clear my point?
Okay.
Clear? You can see.
Yes, clear.
This is the topic, IBGP with loopback interface. Let's talk about next point, BGP authentication. Remember RIP, AIGRP, and OSPF authentication method?
Yeah.
We have two type of routing protocol authentication method, if you remember, clear text authentication and MD5 authentication. RIP and OSPF, they support simple password authentication and MD5 authentication. But if you talk about EIGRP protocol and BGP protocol, they support only MD5 authentication. Remember our discussion?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to implement BGP protocol authentication. What is the command for BGP protocol authentication? Simple command. It's simple command. Let me show you. You can go to BGP protocol, and what is command? Neighbor. What is command? Neighbor. Neighbor 2.2.2.2. Neighbor 2.2.2. Command is password. Command is what?
Password. Okay.
Password. Password I'm using CCI. Done. With this command, you need to define your version. So neighbor 2.2.2 version 4. Done. Our BGP authentication command.
Version 4.
I can I
Okay.
can I can configure with R4, R3, 3.3.3, update source. No, I'm not update source. Password CCIE. Neighbor 3.3.3 version 4. Now neighbor 4.4.4.4 password CCIE neighbor 4.4.4 version 4. Verify show IP. Let's verify show IP BGP summary. Right now I'm getting state and prefix information, right? State and prefix, I'm getting
Okay.
what? 000. Okay. Let's wait. Let's wait.
Yeah.
This neighbor relationship will down automatically. Let's wait. BGP is a slow protocol. So you can verify
Yeah.
show run BGP section. So what we are using? We are using loopback command. We are using remote AS command. We are using password command. We are using update source and version. Same option we are using for
Oh,
R3. Same information we are using R4. Let's go to R2. R2. And what I'm using? Neighbor 1.1.1. Password is CCIE. Neighbor 1.1.1. Version 4.
version.
4. Now you can go with neighbor 3.3.3.
Three.
Password CCIE neighbor 3.3.3. Version 4.
Version.
Neighbor 4.4.4. You can capture packet also, okay, no problem. We can capture our packet and we can verify. Password CCIE neighbor 4.4.4.4 version 4. Let's try to capture packet in between R1 and R2. R1 and R2. We have EHRP packet, we have BGP packet, right? Wait.
Yeah. I see. Message.
I'm waiting for BGP update packet. Let's go to the R1. If I'm trying to ping 2.2.2.2, traffic is traveling. BGP update. Okay, let's go with this BGP update. This one, 2.2. So you can see BGP is using port number 179. Okay, this is BGP protocol number.
Yeah.
BGP is using TCP, Transmission Control Protocol. Port number is what? 179. You can expand this border gateway protocol. Keep alive message. Okay, wait. Flag. I am not getting authentication information. Give me 2 minutes. Let's do one thing. Give me two. Let's do one thing. Okay, I'm trying to delete BGP configuration and we can paste again on each router. Okay, UNC,
Yeah.
give me 2 minutes. Okay, I'm trying to delete BGP command on each router. Give me 2 minutes. This command we can update again. Okay, wait, no. So no router BGP 100. Let's go to R2. No router BGP 100. Let's go to R3. No router BGP 100. Let's go to R4. No router BGP 100. Now let's go to R1. Let's go to R1. We can paste our configuration. You can see this update
Yeah.
command. Remember this command? I'm trying to paste this command. Paste this command on R1. Let's go to R1. R1. For R2, what we can do for R2? For R2, we can change 2.2.2
Two
dot
by one.
with 1 dot
By
1,
one.
right? 1 dot 1 dot 1 dot. Now it's changed. So we can copy and we can paste on R2 and let's try to paste on R3. So 3.3.3 we can change with 2.2.2. Now you can copy this configuration. We can paste on R3. Let's go for R4. So 4.4.4.4 we can
Three.
replace with 3.3.3.3. Now we can go to our 4 router. We can paste our configuration here. Now let's try to capture our packet. Let's try to capture our packet. We can verify our name. See, we are getting some messages. See, bad
Yeah.
authentication. See, bad authentication. You can see
Yeah.
we are
I see.
getting a message bad authentication, but after some time you are getting a neighbor relationship.
Okay.
Okay. Now we can verify show IP BGP summary state and prefix. You can capture your packet.
MD5.
MD5 information, MD5 signature. Okay, no problem. Let's verify here. You can see on R1, you were receiving this message what bad authentication, right? For 4.4.4. But after
Yes.
some time, you have a neighbor relationship. You
Yes.
have a neighbor. In case, if I'm trying to remove BGP, if I'm trying to remove BGP on R4, for example, you will get a message
Yeah.
here. You will get a message. See, here is down, here is down. If I'm trying to use BGP command only BGP. No, I'm not using any uh, authentication command, routing protocol. Let's try to configure router BGP 100, neighbor 1.1.1, remote AS 100, neighbor 1.1.1, update source loopback 0. I'm not using BGP password command, BGP password command. So now, if I'm trying to verify show IP, BGP, BGP summary, status what? Idle, UNC. Status
Iden.
idle.
Yeah.
It is not acting. Idle
Mm.
means what? We don't have authentication. You can see now,
Yeah.
see, you are receiving a message. See, TCP bad authentication. No MD5 digest from R4 to R1. Clear my point?
Yes. Clear.
Now we can use authentication. Now I can configure authentication command here. Neighbor 1.1.1 password CCIE neighbor 1.1.1 version 4. You can see Neighbor relationship is up. See, relationship is up.
Yeah.
And if you check this time, okay, this time previously you were getting a message I did, but this time show IP BGP summary.
Zero. Perfect.
Clear this point?
Yes.
Now let's talk about next point. It's called BGP peer group. BGP peer group. BGP peer group.
Okay.
What is BGP peer group? So wait, let me close this Wireshark. Give me 2 minutes. Let's go to the text file. So here into this design, GNC, we are trying to form
Yes.
neighbor relationship with loopback interface, right? With loopback
Yeah.
interface. If you are trying to form your neighbor relationship with loopback interface, then you need to use this update source command. Wait, this is the command, neighbor command. Then you can use update source command. If you are trying to configure authentication, you can use neighbor password command, then neighbor version command. So now if I'm here on R1 and into this design, for example, I have 50 routers, for example. So for each router, I need to type these four commands, right? For each router, see, for 1.1.1, remote AS, password, update source, and version, right? Again, for 2.2.2, yes, again four command, right? For
Yes.
3.3, again four command. In case, so for each router, I need to type four command here. If I have 50 routers, then approx 200 entry I need to create, right? For each neighbor,
Yeah.
I will type this command, remote AS, password, update source, and version command. If I'm working a
Mm.
big network, for each neighbor, I need to type this command, these four commands for each neighbor. If I'm working a big network, then I can take a help with peer group command syntax. I can go with peer group option. What is peer group? What is BGP peer group? In peer group, I can combine these four commands. I can combine these four commands and can give a single name, for example, A. Can give a single name is what? A. And this A command I can apply for each neighbor.
Mm.
Okay, yes, we can. What we are doing, BGP peer group. In BGP peer group, you can combine. See, let me show you. So what is BGP peer group? Apply same policy to multiple neighbors. Apply same
Mm.
policy to multiple neighbors. What I'm doing, let me show you. Let me show you. Let's delete BGP first on each router. No router BGP 100. No router BGP 100. Let's go to R1. No router BGP 100. No router BGP 100. Now let's go to R1. Let's go to R1. R1. So command I'm using router BGP 100, and I don't want to use these four commands for each neighbor manually. No. That's why I'm creating peer group. What is command? Neighbor. Neighbor peer group. See, command is what? Wait. Command is what? Neighbor address. Let me show you the command
Okay.
syntax. Let me show you the command syntax. Okay, no problem. We can type here. So BGP here we can type BGP peer group name. So I'm using CCIE question mark. You can select a name. What? Peer group. Peer group. So what is peer group? Peer group. Now question mark done. So I'm creating peer group name is what? CCIE. You can see clear my point?
Yes, clear.
First I'm creating peer group neighbor CCIE. Then now I'm going with neighbor wait CCIE remote AS. Now I'm trying to combine all the command remote AS 100 neighbor CCIE update source loopback 0 neighbor CCIE password CCNP neighbor CCIE version 4. So I combine four commands remote AS update source password and version. Now I can go with neighbor one dot no neighbor 2.2.2.2 peer group CCI done. Neighbor 3.3.3 peer group is what? CCI. Neighbor 4.4.4.4 peer group is what? CCI. Done. So with this command, see what is CCI? CCI is a combination of these four commands, right? It's a combination of these four commands. So with this single command, I'm trying to apply all the commands, all the four commands you will see. I hope this clear for you. Juvency,
Yes.
I hope this is clear for you. Let me show you this command syntax again. Let me show you this command syntax. Let's go to Notepad. Notepad, and this is our command. First, what we can do? First, we can create peer group. Okay. What is
Okay.
peer group? What is peer group name? CCIE. Then I combined these four commands. I combined these four commands with peer group CCIE. Now I can go to each name. For 2.2.2, peer group CCI. For 3.3.3, peer group CCI. For 4.4.4, peer group CCI. What we have in CCI? These four commands. Clear this syntax?
Yeah, but one thing I did not understand how you resume all this command on CCI. This one I did not
This is
understand.
peer group name.
Yeah,
This
you
is
need to
what
create.
peer. First, I'm creating a peer group. Then
Okay,
I'm adding all the commands in peer group.
okay,
Clear my point? So first we
yeah.
create our peer group. This is CCIE. Now into this peer group CCIE, I am adding all my commands. These four commands combination name is what? CCIE.
CCI.
This time if I have 100 routers, 100 peers, no problem. Neighbor 5.5.5, peer group CCI. Neighbor 6.6.6, peer group CCI. Clear this point? You will see.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not using these four commands separately for each neighbor.
Hmm.
I'm not using these four commands separately for each neighbor. I combined four commands with a name CCIE. What is CCIE? It's a peer group name. Now, this peer group I can apply for each neighbor. I can apply with each neighbor. When you type this command CCIE with neighbor 2.2.2, what you did in background? You use remote as command, password command, update source loopback, and version 4. When you type CCIE for 3.3.3, what you are doing in background? You are using these four commands. I hope this clear for you.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. Now let's change something into this design. So 2 dot 2 dot 2 dot 2. I'm trying to replace with 1 dot 1 dot 1 dot 4. Now we can copy this configuration. See, on R1 we are getting this application message. Let's go to R2. We can paste. Let's go to R2. We can paste our configuration. Let's go to for R3, 3 dot 3 dot 3. I'm trying to replace with 2 dot 2 dot 2. We can paste on R3. Let's go to Notepad and we can paste for R4. Now we can verify. Now we can verify. Let's go to R1. See, neighbor relationship, neighbor update from R3, neighbor update from R4. Now show IP BGP summary. Clear this topic.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we complete 3 points. IBGP neighbor relationship with loopback interface,
Relationship.
BGP
Yeah.
authentication, update source loopback command, then BGP peer group. Clear this point?
Yeah. Yes.
Let's continue this session tomorrow, same time. Okay, Juvency?
Yeah. Don't forget to send the session video
Yes, I'm sharing. No
for
problem.
this one.
Sure.
Very sweet.
Bye, Juvency. Take care,
Thank
dear.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.